Welcome to my book review, which is a part of Food and Consumer course at Jyväskylä University of Applied Sciences. I'm going to tell you about food media, written by Signe Rousseau. She teaches critical literature at the University of Cape Town, South Africa. As Rousseau notifies in the preface of this book, the purpose is not to suggest that celebrity chefs operate with any harmful intention, and yet she manages to expose several not so flattering features of these new superstars of television. The viewpoint and most of the examples are from the United Kingdom and the United States, countries positioned at the forefront of all media trends. Rise of food media itself is a global phenomenon, although global in this case means developed countries. The most striking results of this tidal wave of images and representations of food is that the more information, the less we seem to know, and therefore we need more guidance. In the course of history, countless cookbooks have been written. Distinguishing feature in earlier books is their instructional nature. First published in 1950, Elizabeth David's A Book of Mediterranean Food mainly fulfilled an appetite for fantasy. Britain was still rationing, and new exotic ingredients such as olive oil, lemons and almonds were nowhere to be found. The greatest impact on breakdown of British and especially US family life was television. It affected upon the way meals were served and eaten, often on trays in front of TV. There were two parallel progressions in society: demand for processed, pre-packaged products, and even increasing demand for cookbooks and food television. What most of the viewers failed to understand was the fact that not much in TV is real. Women in the 1950s were awkwardly situated between being targets of aggressively marketed processed foods to make life easier, and on the other hand, being expected to perform something that resembled what had seen in television. The magic screen taught you how to cook, and at the same time kept you away from the stove. Here's Jamie. As Britain's best-selling author in 2008, his book sales alone have accumulated over £100 million in 2011. Advertising deals with UK's leading supermarket, Sainsbury's, own cookware brand, and so on and so on. His various projects, Jamie's School Dinners, Jamie's Ministry of Food, have given him position and status many politicians would envy. He gets things done. Consider the case of Jeanette Ory. Years before Jamie's School Dinners, she tried to campaign and raise awareness about children's nutrition in Nottingham. Not that many paid attention. Jamie's project is known better. This is how media works. Celebrities naturally have a vantage point from which to reach a wider audience. He's listened because he's a television star, doing what he does best, entertaining us. And he has gone to great lengths doing so. During the shooting of School Dinners in 2005, he showed his wife a tabloid declaring the chef an adulterer, which caused her to burst in tears, shocked by the interference of their life by the press. This all ended in the show. This describes the nature of modern media. Who was humiliating who? At this point, it's worth mentioning what might have been lost in the food media over the years. A tangible connection between knowledge and behavior, what people know to be good for them, and how they actually eat. Let's go back to Jamie. He's got the authority and a positive impact on public, empowerment through celebrity attention. But the downside of these victories might be that it becomes all too easy to rely on someone else to tell us how to live, and especially when someone's authority is supported by doubtful science and false title. Looking at these two pictures, you'd never guess what they have in common. Quite surprisingly is the membership in the ANC, American Association of Nutritional Consultants, one of McKeith's listed professional memberships. Hetty the cat got hers from her master Ben Goldacre, a real doctor, researcher and a writer, who bought it for $60. Personally, for me the most disturbing fact about Gillian McKeith is her PhD degree, which she got admitted to by a non-accredited American College of Holistic Nutrition. It's necessary to mention it was a distance learning degree. She was eventually exposed by aforementioned Goldacre and naturally stripped off her title DR she had been using. So what's so fundamentally bad about our good doctor? The host of You Are What You Eat, a makeover reality show, and our author of many books, who peddles vitamins, minerals, etc. on a website bearing her name. She sells blue-green algae known to produce a range of powerful toxins as superfood. But certain type of people trust her, no matter what the evidence. They also keep spreading the dubious message on a website. Jennifer, one of her followers, I quote, "Your book saved my husband. He suffered 6 months with severe abdominal pain until we turned to your book for help." Well, hello? So instead of seeing a doctor, you bought a book. What's so compelling about watching someone eating, those late-night fridge raids after a party, hoarding for leftovers, glorifying lonely and troublesome activity? Nigella Lawson overturns moral assumptions about income and food habits. She's in an economic position which allows her to indulge in food of a different quality than fatties eating junk. It's an issue of class. Imagine a poor, obese person in a trailer park tucking into deep-fried Mars bar. Now imagine Nigella, dressed in satin nightie, in her candlelit perfect kitchen, doing the same. It's certainly a fine line between food porn queen and fat frump. She seems to have a very special, perhaps disordered relation to food. I quote, "I love my food and I'm very greedy. And when I see a picture of someone who's really hugely fat, I don't think how hideous. I think how delicious it must have been to get there." Really? She is seemingly showing us how to cook, but is her primal aspiration more like encourage us to imagine ourselves as privileged cohabitants of her lifestyle, where indulgence doesn't mean gluttony? A significant part of Nigella's programs are images of her eating, licking spoon, indulging her every craving, and not caring the potential consequences. Let's take a look at fetishism, namely Karl Marx's commodity fetishism. In Marxian theory, commodity has two values: a use value, connected to its practical function, and an exchange value, what commodity has become to signify beyond its use value. All cars take you from A to B, that's use value, whereas the exchange values are determined by price and brand status, and so on. Marx referred to commodity as a mysterious thing, describing the process of abstraction in which commodities come to shape our social status, thus alienating us from our basic needs. Heston Blumenthal's molecular gastronomy has little to do with reality, let alone basic needs. For many people his work is entertainment, if not an art form. Theatre and entertainment of which a byproduct is not being hungry, as Blumenthal described his approach to food. According to Rousseau, fetishism plays an important role in the exchange between Blumenthal and his viewers. Obsession, fetishizing food, and consuming food porn has become an increasingly normal condition. Although recognized by World Health Organization as a serious global problem already in 2000, obesity has been can be seen as a media phenomenon, which in this case is the viewpoint concerning us. It's a discussion about the boundary between private and public, and about who is or who should be responsible for what we eat. Often decisions said to be made in the name of public good are in fact guided by vested interests of those who financially benefit from sustaining fear and uncertainty, namely weight loss industry, pharmaceutical corporations, and even food television stars. There is a certain culture of blame, and it's a lucrative one. So far we have been told that overweight and obesity are caused by TV, by advertising, by poverty, by social networks, by parents, by McDonald's. There was even a news following a study that claimed junk food as addictive as heroin. Who would have thought? Relatively few have the time and energy to read the original studies in journals. Instead, a majority rely on media digests, which are often terribly inaccurate for the reason that sensation sells. There are two main themes in Rousseau's book: interference of government and media, and responsibility. Who should be held responsible for individual and public health? The key question concerning overweight and obesity, nutrition and health in general is which of the numerous sources of information we base our dietary choices. For me, it was surprising to find that until September 2007, British children were not weighted in schools. Some parents were shocked when they were told that their child was overweight. Rousseau seems to criticize what she calls blanket interventions, nutritional guidelines and government policies aimed at the entire population instead of individuals. She refers to studies that showed negative correlation between food-related behaviors and public interference into private eating habits. In my view, all the information and interference, well, that's a good start, but the question of overweight and obesity boils down to individual self-control. As with any substance abuse, so with gluttony. The choice is yours.